am a typical small business owner, and I want to talk about how I think we should stimulate the economy. Now, the government has been talking about hiring people for working on infrastructure and things like that. So if the problem is that if the government hires someone, they have to pay the entire cost of that individual, and the money for that individual comes from the taxpayers. The other problem is that individual is then forever on the payroll of the government. So I don't think that's a very good approach. Another approach is that the government can give money directly to the people, and then the people spend it, and then that stimulates the economy. Again, that's a very short-term stimulus package, and as a wise person once said, if you give a person a fish, you feed him for a day, but if you teach him to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So I don't think we should be giving money to the people. What we really need to stimulate the economy is jobs, and we need jobs that are going to last a lifetime. So what I suggest is that we help small businesses and big businesses generate jobs. Now, how can we do that? Well, what if you told the small business people and big business people that they could hire people and it only cost them 80 cents on the dollar? Now, how can you do that? Well, right now, when a business hires somebody, they withhold taxes, payroll taxes, and withholding taxes, and they send that money to the government. And that amounts to approximately 30%. Now, if you go to the businesses and you say, instead of sending me that money, for each net new hire you make, we will allow you to keep 20% of that person's salary, and we will count it as if the money was sent to us for deduction, for the withholding and payroll taxes. Now, then those businesses will go out and hire people because they're paying them only 80 cents on the dollar. So they're saving 20% by doing that. So they go out and hire, and instead of sending 30%, they're now sending 10% of that person's regular salary. So the government continues to make money on this, and we get people off of unemployment. Now, if you go and do that for both small and large businesses, we will begin hiring immediately. I can tell you right now that as a small business owner, I will hire people at 80 cents on the dollar, no question about it. Now, that will get people jobs right away. It actually continues to generate revenue for the government. So instead of spending a bunch of money, the government is actually making more money because more people are employed and more people are paying taxes. Now, that solves most of it, but you have to look at the dynamics of big and small business. Now, big businesses generally have the cash on hand to pay for these things. So they've got enough cash. It's not a cash issue for them. It's managing the P&L, the profit and loss. So if they can hire people on 80 cents on the dollar, that's all the stimulus they need to start hiring today. But small businesses generate 80% of new jobs. So the problem with the small businesses is they don't have enough cash. They are very much more cash focused than P&L focused. So how can we get more cash into the small business system? Now, again, you might think, well, the government can give them cash, but that's a very inefficient approach because the government's not very good at choosing who they should be giving cash to. So instead, what I suggest is we take capital gains, which are 15%, and we change that to 0%. So in other words, any money invested in a small business, let's say 200 employees or less, there is zero capital gains on any profits made on that investment. That will result in a flood of private capital going into small businesses, which will result in even more hiring. And so as a result, I believe that this is a stimulus package that doesn't cost the government anything. It continues to generate additional revenue to the government, and it creates jobs, which are what really are